Ever since I returned from my vacation that I took to the UK, I've been thinking a lot about my life and where I've been and where I have ended up. Um, Almost 4 decades of being alive, and how I view my life. I view my life through numerous lenses. And how I view life has definitely changed over the years. And I don't know if it's a culmination of all these different experiences that have kind of meshed together to make me who I am today and um, give me my opinions in the way I view life. But, as a child, I was very happy-go-lucky, very energetic, very carefree. Play my Nintendo. I was I was pretty happy and content with skateboarding, playing Nintendo, and hanging out with my friends. And as I got older and became a teenager, I became very driven. Like I had something to prove to myself and the world. I became very caught up in I've got to be just amazing and successful and have tons of money. And then when I hit my 20s and shit didn't pan out and everything fell apart, I kind of got a real harsh dose of reality crammed down my throat, and it really changed how I interacted with the world and those around me. I was extremely naive as a kid and even as a teenager, and uh, cold reality smacking me upside the head gave me a different perspective on life. And now that I'm clean and I spent more than a decade just kind of in this fog and just battling every single day, whether it's stealing or um, fighting with my addiction and all the legal problems that I had. I mean, just catastrophic events just kept happening to me, and it kind of beat down the naive side of me, and um, the way I view life is extremely different now. Um, I'm in my third decade of being alive, and I'm not nearly as happy-go-lucky. Um, I'm still a pretty positive guy, I think. I'm still pretty positive, but I think that positivity is grounded in reality. I'm very much a realist that um, I'm not just going to hope for the best. And I do struggle now with a filter. I kind of don't have a filter, and I just kind of say things as they are. I don't know if that's a product of just tons of drugs making me retarded and brain damaged. That when I speak to people, sometimes I don't have a filter, and I do it sometimes intentionally, but honesty is kind of like my new thing as I've gotten clean and I've gotten older. It's just, the truth doesn't hurt. I know nowadays with the whole social justice movement and all that bullshit that people just can't handle the truth, and shit scares them and they need their safe spaces and stuff like that. And I don't subscribe to that line of thinking. I think a harsh dose of reality never did anybody wrong. I mean, obviously, there's limits. You don't want reality to completely crush somebody to where they never recover and can't live a normal life. But I think all these experiences and all these decades that I've had, it's kind of shaped me um, to the person I am. Kind of shit out. A side effect of that is my lack of filter and anger. I've got like anger issues, and as a kid I was never an angry kid. As a teenager I was never an angry teenager outside of just wanting high school to end and get on with my life, which was kind of a mistake in and of itself because life is rough, and when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, you're still a kid, and you should take it easy, but you know, you do have to grow up to just living a decade just completely out of control. I don't remember. Yeah, I got pissed quite a bit. I got in fist fights. You know, when people steal your shit, sometimes, you know, you have to fight to get your shit back. But I was never really an angry person. But now, I don't know, the last 4 years, I've really kind of noticed that I do just have this rage inside me, like this anger. I don't know where it comes from, and video games really help me deal with that. Like, if you ever watch me play Call of Duty, like, I play it with my like jaws clenched and I'm like gripping the controller, and I'm fucking angry when I play. Like, any multiplayer game of like Call of Duty, Battlefield, or Destiny, if I start to really get my ass whooped, I get just bent, just angry as shit. You know, if there's a space heater around, I will kick it. If I can throw the controller at the wall, I will do it. I lose my shit. But but then I think about, you know, it's better to lose my shit when I'm playing a video game than like to be out in public and really lose my shit. Um, no idea where this anger came from. You know, maybe I'm still dealing with um, issues from my past, of the past decade, I guess. But I never considered myself an angry person. But I don't know. Getting older doesn't automatically make you wiser and more calm. I am definitely not more calm in my older age, even though I consider myself still very young. Uh, they say you stop aging mentally when you start using drugs heavily. I don't know, science and all that, you know, your brain stops developing. I could see that. Like, I agree with that. I still act like I'm in my early 20s. I'm kind of fucking retarded, and sometimes I should take things more serious than I do, and sometimes I lose my shit when I shouldn't, and whatnot. But just all these experiences have just kind of melded together to make me who I am today. And if you were to ask me, am I a better person, having experienced everything that I have experienced? I don't know. That's kind of a tough question. Parts of me, I guess it depends on the day as well, but parts of me want to say, yeah, I think I am a better person because of all this shit that I've seen and done, and all the horrible things that have happened to me. But then on the other hand, you know, I mean, this is like, I don't know how many times, just a bajillion times, I've just thought back in my past, kind of. I guess when you go through rehab and you go through AA, you put your addiction under a microscope, and I have definitely put my addiction under a microscope to every little detail, and I've traced it back to the exact events that led me down that path of destruction. And there is almost a day, there is almost never a day that goes by where I don't think about what if I would not have made that decision. Like, yeah, you could trace it back to, well, I should have sold my stock, but would that have really prevented me from being a drug addict? Well, if I wouldn't have gone to that party, I would have never used cocaine. Like, what if, right? Like the what if game. It's eaten me up inside for years, especially when I was a drug addict. It would just eat me up inside, and I would regret, well, why did I just do that? Why didn't I do that? Why did I do that? And if only I would have done this, my life would have been much better. You have no idea. Like, it's the past and it happened, and I played the what if game for a decade. You know, what if I would have done this? This person would still be alive. If I would have done this, I would have had money. If I would have done this, I wouldn't have a record. And you know, every time I've been turned down for a job, I've been turned down for a couple jobs where I've just you think about, oh man, if I wouldn't have just gotten that theft charge, I could have kept that really good, sweet job that I had, you know. Some stupid fucking HIPAA regulation that, oh, if you have like a theft charge, you can't work at a certain tech company. I'm not going to say which tech company, but you know, I mean, shit like that. It's kind of hard not to think about the what ifs in life, and just, you know, you get caught up in all the bullshit, and I think you lose perspective. I lose perspective, and it's easy to revert back to the good old days. If you could see me now, I'm doing good old days in air quotes, because it always seems like there were good old days for everybody. But if you think back really hard to those good old days, um, they weren't as good as you remember them now. Like, yeah, they were good, but they weren't as great as, the nostalgia makes them feel. Um, I guess with my childhood, I can say those were really good old days because, when you're a child, your life should be innocent. My life was pretty innocent as a child. So I guess if you trace it all the way back to me being extremely young, yeah, good old days. But I think back to the good old days before my addiction, and were they really that good? Were they really that great? Well, yeah, they were all right. Yeah, I mean, they were much, much better than the shitty old days from my addiction, but I wouldn't say that they were anything so fabulous. So, I don't know, I feel like I'm rambling now, on and on and on. But, I've been thinking about that a lot lately, about where I am and how I got here and all the experiences. Especially telling my story. I think about all these things, and there's a lot of things that I've forgotten about. And reading through my journals, I remember so many things, and I can add so much context to them that really life is made up of a million different choices and a million different adventures and branching paths, and they just lead you to where you are. And sometimes you have to accept that and accept the consequences that led you to that point in time, and accept those consequences and learn from them. And I'm still to this day learning from all my actions and all the consequences that have happened to me. So, anyways, still working on my story. We've got some more recordings coming, and stay tuned for those. Thanks for listening.